This is Lindy, and today I'm making an apple pie. I'm making them with Granny Smith apples, and I got the recipe from SMITTEN which used a Bravetart cookbook. And this is, the first thing I'm doing is making the flaky pie crust, and I went ahead and made the crust and put it in the pie tin. When I made the crust, I put the dry ingredients together, and then I cut up the butter in very small pieces and blended it with a pastry blender. You can also use a fork. And then you could put a 1/4 cup of water in to make it a doughy consistency. So after that, I divided the dough into 2 parts, and then I took one of the parts and put it between wax paper and rolled out the dough. So I went ahead and made this bottom part first. So the next thing is I peeled about 4 pounds of apples to make the filling. And I put into the filling mixture, I put a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon table salt, 2 teaspoons ground cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon ground nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon ground ginger, 1/8 teaspoon ground cloves, and I mix that all together. So what the next step I'm going to do is to slice the apples and let them sit in the mixture from 1 to 4 hours. Now I'm ready to mix the pie slices. I have put them in this filling mixture for about 2 hours, and the reason we do that is to get the slices nice and moist. And so what I've done is added the flour. It calls for 3 cups of flour to be mixed in with this mixture. And as you notice, the mixture is very moist because we've been letting these pie slices set in this mixture. So I'm mixing the flour in this one. And then I'm also going to mix the flour because we didn't have a bowl that was big enough for all the pie slices. We decided to use 2 bowls. And then we're going to combine these. Now this makes a very large pie, and I can smell that pie filling already. The ingredients smell very delicious. So I'll just mix this up all together. And if there's any extra liquid, then I'm going to drain this extra liquid off because you don't want an overly juicy pie. Now I'm going to fill the pie with a pie mixture, and I'm going to just put all the apples down very tightly because we got 4 pounds of apples, so this would be a luscious apple pie. And that extra juice I have, I'm going to pour right over the top. So this is the other pastry that I've made. And I'm going to put the pastry right over the pie and then peel it off the wax paper. So if you happen to have a tear in the pie, you can take a little water and mend that tear, and that will help. So what I'm going to do is cut this off. And crimp my edges. And put a few vent holes in. And it's ready for the oven, and I'm going to have the oven preheated at 400 degrees. I just took the pie out of a 400 degree oven, and it was baking for 75 minutes. I did turn it twice while it was in the oven so it could brown evenly. There is one thing that my daughter encouraged me to do, and I did that before I put it in the oven, is I whisked an egg and took the pastry brush and put the egg on the pie, and I think that helped get a nice evenly brown texture. And if you want, you can also put sugar on that after you put the egg on top of the pie, but we decided that we didn't want that tonight. So I'm going to have this cool for an hour at room temperature, and then it also suggested putting it in the refrigerator for 2 hours so that it makes sure that filling thickens. So we'll see you in about 3 hours. I cut a piece of the pie, and as you see, it's very nice and moist, and the crust is very flaky. So I'm going to try a piece. And with the 4 pounds of apples, you really get that nice layering in the pie. And you have a nice cinnamon nutmeg flavor, and it's very delicious. I hope you enjoyed making this pie. So a bientôt. See you soon. Please send pictures of your creations to lindayskitchen2020@gmail.com.